Last 14 days, what is it?
57K. 57K and like almost 20K cash collected.
In 2024, I scaled a brand new business completely from scratch, $0 all the way to multi six figures within a span of 6 months. And I'm recording this video to show you exactly how I did that while living in a developing country like Nigeria, where we have unstable electricity and honestly crappy Wi-Fi. Now, I know so many people make videos like this out there, and this is probably not the first make money online video that you're watching yourself, but I haven't really seen anyone who did it while living in a developing country like Nigeria, facing the challenges that people from developing countries usually face, because I know so many other people just like myself had a dream like this and they just met with unrealistic circumstances that hold them back. So I really just want to peel back the curtains to explain the journey so far, because honestly for me, myself, when we started seeing success in the business, it felt surreal. Like I could really not process my emotions.
14 days. Last 14 days, what is it?
57K. 57K and like almost 20K cash collected.
Literally. In 14 days.
So that was a video of me and my business partner about 6 to 7 months ago at this point. We had just closed about $57,000 in new deals within a span of 14 or 15 days. And as you could see, like I could I could not process my emotions because it was almost unbelievable. And that was the start of something truly amazing. We went on like several times in 2024 to have $20,000 weeks and close many more deals. If you want to know a lot more about that, you can check out my Instagram, the highlight section that talks about 20K weeks. I try to document as much as I could along the process, so you can go over there and check it out. However, the thing I really want to focus on is the fact that somewhere around 4 years ago, during the COVID period or quarantine period, this was me, right? This was my business plan. The only thing I had at that time was just this prayer list. And forgive my horrible handwriting. I know you probably can't read every single thing on there, but I want you to focus on this part that says $50,000. And I also want you to focus on the part on here that talks about like a plugin it's called the Ali Dropship plugin. So at the time, I had in mind that I was going to have like a dropshipping business, and this plugin cost $89, right? I want you to keep that in mind. That's very important. And the very next prayer point on my list that I was hoping to achieve is $50,000. So someone who could not afford $89, who had to pray to God to be able to afford $89, had the dream or had the ambition to have a business that would do $50,000. That is nothing but delusion. And I'm so glad 4 or 5 years ago I was delusional enough to go on this path. Now, something else I want to show you is something that I did 4 or 5 years ago as well. I went publicly on the internet to create a public profile that described exactly who I wanted to be. I'm going to share my screen now and show you exactly what I'm talking about. So somewhere around 4 to 5 years ago, I think towards the end of 2020, I know because this photo right here, I took it when I was 20 years old, and that was 2020. So somewhere around that time, my delusional self came on the internet to create this profile, and it scares me how truthful it has become or how much it has come to life. Because I did go on to start 2 companies, zero funding, both of them. And here's the crazy part, right? Business entrepreneur with 2 successful startup companies, here to give you professional advice and coaching. Look at this next slide. This is me right here in a room full of business owners. This is me leading and hosting a group call with my business partner, with our partners, and we're consulting them on business growth. Somewhere around 4 to 5 years ago, I knew nothing about business, and these people would never have trusted me. But somehow within that period of time, I have gotten to a point in life where I can do something like this. And just to tell you that this is this happened very recently, like this was 4th January 2023. A friend of mine sent me this screenshot reminding me of this profile that I made when I was delusional. and was laughing at me. And I deserved to be laughed at because this version of me had not yet come to reality. But one thing I never did was I never quit. I never relented on making sure that I become this person. And that's really just what I want to talk about in this video. The thing is, I had not really taken the time to really reflect on the journey so far, up until recently when I stumbled upon this prayer list while going through my things and also going through like old photos on my computer, and I saw that screenshot from the profile that I made 4 years ago. And it just scares me how true it has all become. And it scares me because it makes me understand the fact that I kind of just made my dreams reality. I understand how painful and how agonizing it can be to have a dream, put it on paper, know how scary it is, and be so unsure of whether it's going to come true. And that's why I'm talking about this as someone who went through that exact same process. And if there's something I could give to my old self to encourage him to just keep going and not quit, it's this concept. Okay, so the thing is, when you make a dream or when you have a dream, you need to understand that you're here, right? You're in this current state. You exist in this part, and your dream is here, and you want to get to this part. And there's this huge gap that exists between the two of you. Like for people who understand offer creation, you understand the concept of the gap. And there's one core thing that people hardly talk about that you have to do to get to that desired outcome. I'm not here to talk about strategies, but what I'm just trying to explain to you is a certain mindset shift that you have to have. You have to be the thing that you hope to become before you actually become that thing. And so for me, for example, I was a Nigerian who wanted to make $50,000 in a year. I had already become that Nigerian. I had already become the person in my head who was making $50,000 before hitting that goal. I had brainwashed myself to think that that is who I am already. Before we start problem solving, like I want you to be in a place where you're like, I can actually do this. All of the problems or all of the things in my head that I think are problems right now, they're not real because I'm not accepting that reality. Problems are meant to encounter solutions, and solutions exist, and I'm going to find answers to every single one of these things. So I'm not going to let it hold me back. Because here's what happens. If you stay in your head too long, that's why you feel like this has been a very fast January, right? Staying in your head for too long will keep you away from taking action, because you just like, you're going through the same cycle again and again. And before you know it, 2 weeks is gone and you haven't done certain things. And you're like, oh my goodness, where do I go from here? So you just need to be in a place where, I call it delusion, I call it brainwashing yourself, like just pretending that what is in reality isn't actually what is, and what you believe to be true is what actually is. And so I'm someone who firmly believes in the goal you've set being an outcome, while the things that get you to that goal is the process. And so the challenge many people go through is that they set the outcome as the goal, but they don't stick to a process. You don't actually become the person, or you don't actually be the person who gets to that outcome. For me, for instance, what did I have to do as a Nigerian in going through the challenges that I was in? First of all, being in my environment was already a disadvantage. So if I want to be someone who runs a global company, I knew I had to spend hours learning how to build businesses. I had to stop scrolling endlessly on social media and playing games. I started focusing on outreach and making connections with people outside of my country in the Western world. And like that's because those are the actions that someone who runs a multi-six-figure global company would commit to. That is the identity of someone who already makes $50,000 and runs a multi-six-figure business. And that is something that I had to be before I actually achieved the goal, before it actually manifested in reality. And listen, look, if you're watching this video and you're probably thinking to yourself, I'm showing up every day and there are no results to show for it, I want you to understand that this is the true test of your madness. This is the true test of your delusion. Because if mentally you've already agreed with yourself that you are already the person that you're working hard to become, then you should be emotionally detached from the physical outcome of whether that is true or not. For instance, if I believe in my head that I have $50,000, I should not worry about whether there's $50,000 in my bank account or not. Because if it's contrary. Like if I say right now that I believe I have $50,000 and then tomorrow I'm stressing out, and I'm refusing to show up to work, and I'm panicking and I'm freaking out, I'm not like doing what I should be doing because I'm scared that I don't have any money, then it's not actually true. It means I'm afraid because I know it's not true. And guess what? That would slow down my effort. That would keep me back from doing the things that I should be doing to make sure that I eventually get to my goal. And that's why many people don't get there, because they quit along the way. Times like that are simply meant to test you and are simply meant to, I think it's the universe filtering out unqualified people. I had a mentor who once told me that the world is not yet a crazy enough place to reward people who are undeserving of it. And so it's kind of like a test to see if you deserve what you're asking for and if you can persevere through that period of time. And for us, we're at a stage where we actually get excited about problems. We're at a stage where we actually get excited about those situations because every single leap that we've made has come off the back of times like that. Every time we persevere through it, the next thing that happens is a huge jump from where we were before. And so like the positive news I have for you is that if you can keep going and if you can power through this current feeling, what comes on the other side of it is your next level of growth. Because what is simply just going on right now is life trying to test you and see if you really want it bad. Some people will step back and they never actually do achieve it because like that's where the story ends for them. And then some people refuse to accept that the story ends like this and they go on to the next phase to actually make sure that they're successful. And that's where you are at right now. Every day I have to deal with challenges as a Nigerian. For example, I literally, like, opening bank accounts as a Nigerian, opening foreign bank accounts is hell. But that alone should stop me. That alone should stress me out. That alone should hold me back. But the version of me that is a successful business owner running a multi six-figure and even seven-figure global company is not someone who worries about bank issues. It's not someone who has bank problems. And so I pretend they don't exist. Being a Nigerian, getting a visa, right? Like one of my big goals for 2025 is to travel and network with so many other business entrepreneurs. But just being Nigerian alone, for example, getting a visa appointment with the US Embassy takes like 8 months just because I'm Nigerian. And in other countries, like literally in a week or two, they can get their visa appointment. These are all challenges that I have to deal with as a Nigerian. Like many times, the electricity would go out on sales calls. Many times I would be leading the call and the Wi-Fi would just go out. These are things that could have just made me be like, I'm not interested anymore. Like I just want to quit. And I had to keep going because the version of me, the version I have of myself in my head is not one who has internet problems. It's not one who has electricity problems. It's not one who has visa problems. I am so much bigger than that. And so I pretend that they don't exist. Delusion. It's almost like existing in a state of madness. And honestly, like that is the biggest superpower that you can have to your advantage, because then nothing can shake you. Nothing can hold you back. Nothing can stop you. Before every mountain comes a valley, which means like you're initially descending low before you climb up the mountain, before you climb up that new height you want to attain. And so if you stay stuck in the valley, then it's like, oh, she got trapped there. But if you're among the people who are like, no, I'm going to climb out of this valley, then you're the person who climbed the top of a mountain.
Wow. Oh my God.
And I know I am nowhere close to the heights that I want to attain. And so this is by no means even like a video just giving myself a pat on the back saying I've gotten there. Like I'm far from getting there. I'm making this video because I know that there are so many other people out there with a dream who probably come from developing countries like myself or come from extenuating circumstances, and those challenges seem to stand in the way of them and success. And I just wanted to show myself and just like document this moment to show that no matter what challenge you're going through, no matter what the situation is, it's 100% possible for you to get here if you brainwash yourself, right? And so if you're watching this, I know you have a dream too. And here's the truth. The only thing standing between you and that dream right now is the version of yourself who isn't ready yet. So start acting like the person who has already made it. That's the best thing I have to give. Because once you do that, it's only a matter of time. And in fact, time becomes unreal to you. You start to exist in a place where time doesn't really matter to you. But anyway, this is me. My name is Ore, and I will be making business content here on YouTube. So if you want to learn more tactical strategies or approaches that I employed in building this company and scaling it to this extent, especially from the perspective of a Nigerian who doesn't have like the same privileges that people have in the Western world, then hit the subscribe button and expect some more content like this. Most of my content will most likely be practical. I think this will be probably the only video that I would make that is just like mindset. But I think most of the things I would be putting out there would just be like how I tackle issues, basically just practical approaches to how I have built the company. And hopefully you can find that useful to yourself and do the exact same thing. For now, this will be the end. Cheers to growth.